International departure Quebec. 0954. Runway 25 right for departure. Taxiway Echo 5 closed.
See, this takes so much energy, guys. All right.
JetBlue 1012, Lieutenant November, join Alpha and contact ground on Bonanno. Good afternoon.
6 knots.
Clear to land, runway 33 left 4, good evening.
You guys should come up here one day. You'd enjoy it. You'd enjoy the show.
Clear to land, 33 right, Boca Hagati,
Thank you very much.
And live from undisclosed location, you are listening to Plane Talk. I'm Radek Drykowski here, together with
Howie Marlin.
And John Roberts.
Sorry, guys, go right ahead.
Okay, Howie, you're laughing, so
I
tell me
am
about
laughing.
it.
Well, no, it's just funny because when you went quiet on the set, John's cleaning his throat. The poor guy's dying, and it's just ready to go live. Boom. Well, hi everybody. Go
That's
ahead,
the way it works. So we are definitely live here, and if we screw up something, it's out there in an open. So what are we talking about today? We are going to be talking, of course, about IMC and VMC Clubs and what is new, what is happening, and where we are going with it. We are going to be talking about the safest year in commercial aviation. Is it technology or training? And in our third segment, of course, about logging. How do you log your time as a safety pilot? PIC, second in command, or you cannot log it at all. So with all that, let's go with it.
Welcome to the internet, my
Okay.
friend. How can I help you?
We're online
All systems go!
and in your face. You are listening to the golden microphones of the IMC radio. News, opinions, and your calls.
You gotta see that big picture.
Sometimes if you stop the machine, then you realize, whoa.
No, don't
you have to
stop
have
the
some
machine.
foresight. Think about what kind of
Machine
effects
is
that can
going.
have on air travel.
How important is aviation to you?
So here we are again, Plane Talk Classic with everybody. John Roberts, Howie Marlin. I can't believe it that we're all here together.
It's a pleasure.
Not
to be
easy
back
sometimes.
together. Yeah, it gets lonely sitting here by myself without you guys. Hey, I want to thank the both of you for doing a stellar, a yeoman's job on the podcast last time. Thank you both very much.
Oh, yeah,
and,
sure.
and I have to apologize because, we totally forgot to say hello to you and how much we missed you from the show. We got so into it. I was so tense because, that was the first time I was producing since a long time ago.
It was
That's right,
just
yeah.
cute. I mean, you didn't say anything to the sponsors. You didn't talk about me.
Yeah.
Hello, goodbye. No, it's for those who've never done one of these things. It can be daunting. It can be, it's funny. You listen to it all the time and it's easy, but then when you try to do it, all of a sudden it gets complicated. So Radek, you're leading the show. Take us where you want to go, baby.
I'm producing, and I'm not leading.
He's producing.
Well, wait a minute. You just told us IMC Clubs. Now you broke 200. What are we? You 200 and
God,
what?
that's what we're talking about yesterday. Not yesterday, last time. But last time, yeah, we broke 200. That was easy. And now actually we're at 210.
Right.
And guess what? EAA is preparing a press release that's supposed to go out there. I think it's going to go out tomorrow. And, Dick Napinski, he was working on it, and I kept telling him, just finish it up, because by the time you finish the press release, we're going to have 300 clubs.
Yeah, right, that's right. Wow.
Or
Now,
let's
Radek,
just leave it blank, and, we fill in the number.
Well, is that just IMC, or is that IMC and VMC combined?
That's IMC and VMC club together.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But we do encounter some problems, not really problems. We need more scenarios, and I want to start appealing to everybody listening and everybody who is listening to everybody who is listening. We need scenarios.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right.
Well, here, let me jump in because I had an experience, and it's become one of the scenarios for the club. And folks, why don't you think of something which one of those, if I had it to do all over again, I would do this kind of thing. We all make mistakes, and the nice thing is that's where wisdom comes from. So why don't you send in the things that have happened to you, that either head scratchers or, when you get out of the plane, you kiss the ground. It's entertaining, and Lord knows we all appreciate it, and we can all learn from it. Isn't that right, Rad?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, we are live, as we mentioned before. It's supposed to show up on Facebook, and it's supposed to be a chat enabled. But I'll be totally honest with you, I haven't seen it from the Facebook side. I don't know which feed is going to go out. Once we do this show, then we're going to explore a little bit more. And we'll basically tell you a little bit more how you can communicate with us. But definitely that is our intent. That is one of the options. And another thing, Howie, I'm planning on 2, yes, not 1, but 2 applications. Those apps are going to be exclusive for Plane Talk. So you will be able to download, whether Android or iPhone, you will download it, and it's going to be just for us. And then you'll be able not only to listen, but also communicate with us right away.
Well, that is wonderful. Now, let me ask you this, Radek. Which IMC Facebook page are you referring to?
I don't know.
There's a number of them. So would it be...
That's the thing, that I don't know, because the way it's described in that platform that we're using, it's a new feature. We haven't been using it before, so it's an experiment.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And again, we'll be able to hear in real time these shows. Correct, Radek?
Yeah, it's definitely it is going out in real time now, and hey, let's hope somebody's listening.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
I always hope for that.
Yeah. While let me just jump on this for a second, everybody. I want to let you know that the 2 podcasts ago, I took it upon myself to spread the word over by Facebook and Twitter friends, and I started reaching out to other clubs, and it was remarkable. I got to tell you, folks, we had an incredible spike in listenership. So I'm going to ask you all this, please, and this is pretty important as far as the IMC VMC Club podcast is concerned. Go ahead and tell your local friends with the clubs about us, and please, turn them on to the podcast. It is pretty important, and the more that the club members know that this podcast exists, the better we're able to integrate the things that we're talking about and the things that we're learning about. So there, I got my 2 cents in there.
Yeah, that's more like a nickel. That was worth saying.
I would say a quarter, but
the one club that did not join again this week, the Martha's Vineyard.
What's going on there?
It's January. We had 5 people. I had more.
You mean on the entire island, or 5 pilots?
Yeah, right.
We had 5 pilots sitting in, and I had 8 regrets sent, 8 emails saying, I would love to have been there, except I'm away, or it's something.
That's
I didn't want to
expected.
scrape the ice off my wings.
Oh, please. Yeah. So I just want everybody to know. One of the discussions that I want to have, and I hope we're able to do this, is for those of you folks out there, men and women, who are wanting to get a flying club together and having trouble. I think one of the better conversations that we can have is for us to start to network and share ideas on how to get more people in the fence. One of the things I found out today, I went out to my hangar, and there was a friend there working on an airplane that I, at one point, was looking to buy. And as I'm talking with him, he's talking about the 2 other guys that he wants to partner with in that plane. And I never knew that they were interested. Yet he's talking to them about a partner. So let me just simply say there's things you know, things you don't know, and the things you don't know. So when it comes to people being interested, let's all see if we can pull together.
True.
So, Radek, what else is going on?
The best thing happened to me. I just got an email yesterday from somebody from our Norwood IMC club. We had our meeting there last month, and we talked about all kinds of things. And one of the scenarios that I brought up, what would you do? As I think we talked about this on the show, if one of your lenses popped out from your glasses. And,
we were talking about redundancy, yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh.
and then we had a very good discussion there. And in that email, one of our participants said, Radek, I was thinking about you when I was flying yesterday. He said, for the first time, I had an extra pair of glasses in my flight bag. And that made my day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what we want to have. Because you never know when something is going to happen. And by the way, what I'm doing here when I'm producing, I'm doing like a theme for show. The last time we had a French theme. Today we are German, by the way, and too bad that two of you cannot hear our feed that is coming up. And that is going to be a German folk dance. So next segment.
German what? German what?
Folk dance. Dancing. So
Yeah. Huh.
Did you just say German fog dance?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
It could be. So next segment, when we're back, we are going to be talking about commercial aviation and why it is safe.
You are listening to Plane Talk on WIMC Radio.
Plane Talk is brought to you by M0A.com. Pass your check ride or he'll pay for it. Jason Schapper's got a wide selection of aviation education programs online, from your private pilot to your commercial and instrument. Remember, a good pilot is always learning. M0A.com. And our friends at FreeFlightSystems.com, makers of a wide variety of ADS-B, radar, WAS, GPS memory management, and jet call decoders. Free Flight Systems.
Plane Talk, the only general aviation talk show on the web.
Okay, and we are back. So, aviation safety.
Yeah, that's a very difficult thing to measure. What would have more impact on safety, training or technology? Do you think it's safer across the board, guys, compared to 20 years ago, where planes are doing auto land, auto brake, auto cruise? I mean, all the real serious autopilot stuff. Do you think that's made it safer? I know the pilots may be a little more complacent because they're sitting up there more like managing systems and flying. But what do you think? You think it's the technology is really the statistics have kind of caught up to the fact that the machinery is pretty good as long as it's programmed right and as long as it's used right.
I think that it's definitely safer because of the technology, but when something big happens, it's big because of the same reason.
Like the France jet over the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah. Yeah.
Howie, what do you think?
Well, there's no two ways about it. Technology's made things, certainly in the higher end areas, incredibly safe, and it's one of the more overlooked elements of transportation. It's funny how people still have this primordial fear of flying, whereas it's like a hell of a lot more dangerous walking downtown 14th Street in Manhattan.
Yeah. It's funny.
Have you been down there, Lenny? But does that also is that all aviation, Radek, or is that just commercial?
No, it is commercial, because general aviation is basically the same. There is a steady decline, but nothing really sharp there.
Well, there was also, I give a statistic, and please, I'm sorry, I know somebody's gonna text me. That in general aviation, there's been was the safest year in many years.
Yes.
And the discussion that I had was, now hold on, statistics. It's like what's the number of pilots per capita in what state? And the discussion, of course, being how many pilots are there in the entire state compared to the population. So my problem is the declining pilot population, because there's a smaller number of aircraft, smaller number of pilots. Does that mean that the number of accidents are commensurate? You know what I mean?
Not necessarily, because the measurement usually is per number of hours flown.
Oh, okay.
So that is how we measure those accidents. And, of course, with entire year without any accidents in commercial aviation.
Right.
So
yeah.
But again, I'm not sure myself, because, of course, technology, I think, has to do a lot with it. But with technology comes training. So definitely those previous accidents like Air France or the one near Buffalo.
Near Buffalo, that's right.
That enforced, additional training, and people suddenly woke up and they say, wait a second, there's something wrong here.
Well, it may have been the safest year, but as far as Atlanta was concerned, it's probably one of the most frustrating years.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
And here, a big apology to everybody down in Atlanta way, and for those of you that are getting who were hung up by that. But that was under stuff happens. I mean, who knew, what that transformer and how that happened?
Yeah.
But having no backup generators for the entire operation, that was just, my jaw dropped.
Well, let's just say that there's a lot there.
I mean, if part of the aviation infrastructure it goes down for whatever reason, you would think they got a backup for everything that they needed for.
Oh, come on! Whose computer went last week? One of the majors. Oh, now I can't remember. But
Southwest.
We're so dependent.
Really, it's like, come on. I mean, who are we? We're just a couple of locals who are just chatting away, and I'm sure the people that work in the industry going, you don't know what it's like. And, well, we don't. You're right. But for the kind of money that you invest in, product and infrastructure.
So now do you think that we have a better, because, everybody obviously in commercial aviation comes from general aviation. There is, with very few exceptions, there is really no major other route. So do you think that we have a better training in general aviation, and therefore, pilots come there to commercial aviation and also have better technology, and everything together is working fine? For example, Derek, he's got he works for Delta now.
Right.
Yeah, big shout out to our boy Derek. Holy cow, that's right.
That's right.
I will tell you that it's been an amazing experience. Now, guys, I started 10 years ago when flat screens were first starting to make their appearance. What has happened in between then and now is a very interesting transition. The kids who are growing into aviation now, the gamers who are used to the flat screen technology, the migration over to the 1000s and such, there's literally, it's just a sidestep in awareness. In other words, they go from their simulators and their games into the real aircraft, and seat of the pants aside, the learning curve for how to use the equipment is really quick.
It is, and actually they learn in, because everybody now, I don't know any student who would go through regular, any flight school and would not be exposed to a glass panel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember when I was working at the desk at Norwood Airport, I remember telling people that I was training on a G1000 with a 172, and some of these planes that used to come in, they said they're good-sized aircraft. Said, "Geez, that's more than we got." And these guys are flying, 20 people around in a PC-12, with steam gauges, and yeah, that's right, Radek. I may have said this one time too. I thought it was a kick one time. Took my 9-year-old nephew to a little theme park, and they had a little airplane, where you sit down in a little cockpit, and instead of the 6-pack and the little dials, it was just 2 TV screens. It's like that.
No kidding.
He's never going to know what an airspeed indicator looks like, But
That's funny.
yeah.
Well, the other thing, guys,
in that aspect, if pilots are exposed to electronics right away, then they move to larger aircraft with more electronics, but still it's electronics, so it's not intimidating anymore.
Right.
When you would go from steam gauges to something very complex, I'm thinking that could be more challenge.
Well, of course it is.
Right. But I'll tell you, when I was doing steep turns in the G1000, I had one eye on the artificial horizon, on the the regular gauge. It was like, okay, I'm going to keep my eye on that guy. And for some reason, I don't know, a little more old school than. But you're right, Rock. If you come up with the technology that as you advance into the regionals and the airlines, it's not that big a leap, right?
Yeah, but then again, what happens if that technology will stop working?
Right. Yeah.
Now I think we have an opposite problem, because it will. I mean, there is no. I wish it wasn't, but my prediction is there is no way to beat statistics. There is going to be a commercial accident.
Oh yes, just because yeah.
Something is going to break. Something is going to. It's not going to work the way it's supposed to. And my question now is, are those pilots prepared for flying without those electronics?
Well, I'd like to think that a lot of this, with the recurrent training that they're required to do, that they get into scenarios like that.
That's a really good question, and that's really individual. One of the things I need to throw in before we go to the break is the fact that with FlightWatch transitioning, it won't be long before we no longer can call in to get a briefing. And I'll tell you this, I have been just omni-focused on getting on and looking at my own prog charts and projections. I've been on Della Calvin's podcasts, weather risk assessment, her webinars, and it's been brilliant. I mean, there's nothing like, on ForeFlight, you've got all of your pre-flight weather in its the imagery. It's just phenomenal. And that wasn't available to us a few years ago, Radek. So I'm going to tell you right now, I'm looking at going somewhere in a couple of days, and I'm looking at the prog charts and the different levels, and I'm like never before. I mean, so will I be a safer pilot for it? Well, I certainly hope so. And I can't help but believe that those of us who are getting on these sites, the weather.com and whatever, and doing our forecasting is going to make the go no go decisions better, because so many people got up there without enough information and got into trouble. And now we've got that at our fingertips. What do you think about that?
You cannot. I strongly believe that you cannot learn good decision making. It has to be practiced.
Yeah.
So it's all all by making mistakes. Yes, John.
Yeah. No, just saying the one thing I remember in just basic pilot training, which surprised me, was decision making. That it wasn't more emphasized. That it was okay. Now we've given you all the tools. Here's how you do weather. Here's how you navigate. Here's how you stay. With the clean side up. But what about just like you say, basic? The decisions of I'm surprised it wasn't more emphasized in basic in basic training. Right? Let me ask you this: as a very seasoned and experienced instructor, have you seen from the beginning when you first started instructing to when you kind of started to not do as much, the difference in training that you were told to teach the next generation of pilots? Did you feel that they were getting more detailed and more, you got to get on these guys a little more? Do you think that's maybe why the general aviation got a little safer too? Instructors were getting it from the front office.
I'm not really so sure. I always utilize my own unique ways of teaching. I always believe that people, pilots have to learn from the very beginning. I always stressed pilot in command. And unfortunately, I would say good percentage of flight instructors are not going to teach you how to be in command. I cannot tell you how many times I had situation when students would look at me and they were waiting for me to make the decision. And I would say, don't look at me. You are supposed to be pilot in command. So you are the person who is going to be making all decisions there. I'm only here to prevent us from getting killed.
Right. So because I guess the students should think of it that the instructor's there, right? If you be the pilot in command. If you do something that's so out of the box that we're going to get hurt, then my airplane and just give it to me. And
I do hear music in the background, John, so that means that we are out of time for this segment. When we come back, we are going to have so much fun because we are going to be talking about logging your time as a safety pilot. It's more complicated than you may expect.
You are listening to Plane Talk on WIMC Radio. Plane Talk, more fun than a pilot should be allowed to have.
Alright, so let's imagine that you are an instrument-rated pilot or you are just a private pilot and you're going to go up there with somebody and you're going to be a safety pilot for that instrument guy under the hood. What can you log? I mean, can you log it as a second in command or pilot
I believe
in command?
You can log it. I believe if it's a VFR, and you got a private safety pilot, and the pilot and the guy that's pricing approaches agree, you can be the PIC, correct?
What do you think?
Gee, if only we had a flight instructor on this podcast.
I'm not saying anything. I will let you figure it out first.
Yeah, okay, because I could be wrong, but I believe one way to determine this is the two pilots decide who's going to be who, right, Radek? I mean, that's like in any it doesn't matter what seat you're in. You can be in the right or left seat. If you say, okay, I'm the PIC today, you're practicing.
Believe it or not, you can be in the back seat and be pilot in command.
Oh, that's crazy.
But yes,
that's
you can.
Crazy.
I mean, pilot in command is the one who is going to be. It's not a sole manipulator of controls. That's a totally different thing.
Oh, so okay. The pilot command is the one. If he orders someone in the airplane to do something and doesn't do it, it's a felony. That's who the pilot command is, right? Like on an airliner.
Yeah, absolutely.
The guy in the left seat can say, "You're off my plane," or "You got," or yeah.
And I see how he is scratching his head there. So Howie, say something.
You saw that? That's right. I forgot that. Well, of course. There's hood time issues if you're in flight training, so it's whoever's in control of the aircraft And then there's something about whoever lands the aircraft.
I don't.
Well,
think
wait a minute,
so.
John. John, it's true. You and I don't know. Radek does.
Yeah,
So
Radek does.
here we are thinking about, and we're just local yokels, and we're coming off with what we think. Now, I would think, okay, Radek, you give me a call. I say, Howie, I need to shoot some approaches. I need a safety instructor.
Safety pilot.
You a safety pilot? Thanks. Are you current, or are you a private pilot? I said, I am. I'm current. I've got my ticket. Okay. Are you instrument rated? No, I'm not, but I am a current, and I got my medical, and I'm good to go. So we go up flying. Now, you're in the hood. You're shooting the approaches. I'm in the right seat. You're in the left seat. You're shooting the approaches. Now, you're able to document shooting those 6 approaches, so you get credit for it. And the question is, who is PIC during what phase of the flight? So I'm going to stipulate that because the sole manipulator is the person under the hood, and I'm just there to make sure he doesn't run into elephants and things like that, he logs the time. And I can log the time as crew or co-pilot or something.
Actually, both of you can log PIC because you become a required crew member. So now you're in the right seat, but that guy in the left seat under the hood cannot fly without you unless he or she is in a system which makes it regular IFR, and they cannot be under the hood. So since they need you, and you are going to be making decisions, you are in command, you are going to say, hey, we have this 737, 200 feet to our left, take off your hood. That's definitely is being in command. So on the other hand, you have no control. So it's almost like 2 of you are flying there in one, both of you are in control of the situation. So I'm not going to quote, regulations here because that's not the point. But, people can go there and then check it out. But yes, 2 of you can log PIC time.
Very cool.
Okay, so now let's extend. Let's have a little bit more fun here. So now you are going to an airport which is more than 50 miles. Now, which one of you is going to log cross country? Actually, I would expect that sound from Howie because he looks like he just fell asleep.
I mean, doesn't it depend too? Like, okay, you're gonna fly from, let's say, Norwood to Lavinia, which is what, 53 miles, and you're both gonna get in the plane. You're gonna
49. You have to go to Katama.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
You do.
Really? Because I went to Lavinia for my short cross. How's that
Don't
possible?
Come on. Don't do that. They can still take your license away.
But I stopped in Mansfield, Taunton, and New Bedford on the way.
There we go. Okay.
Hey, if when you first get in the plane, let's say you line up and wait. I like position and hold much better, but you line up and wait, and then you have to decide. Okay, who's gonna do the takeoff? I mean, is that implied? That, okay, you the takeoff and your airplane.
The guy in the back seat.
Is it that simple that your PIC is your airplane? You're and you agreed that it's your airplane. So if he's going to fly to 53 miles away, he would get to log it, Radek? Couldn't you log SI cross-country time, or is there no such thing?
Okay, actually, here is a little tricky because the person who is going to land at that hour, to make it cross-country, you have to land to full stop. So the one who is going to land, so for example, I am going to do practice approaches at XYZ airport somewhere more than 50 miles, and you are my safety pilot. So we go there, and right after I do the instrument approach, I flip my hood and I yell out loud, John, your controls. and you grab controls and you land, this is going to be your cross country.
Yep.
Oh, it
Yep.
really doesn't, and it
He
doesn't
who
matter.
lands.
It's who lands. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because both of you log PIC, so at the end, cross country is for the one who is going to land. Now, what's going to happen from this point on, everybody who is flying with a safety pilot, they are going to fight for controls if they go to another airport, because people want to log cross country flight.
Right. Okay. Right. Yeah. So that's good. On short final, you're both grabbing the yoke and you're trying to. No, it's mine. I got it.
So wait a minute. Now, what part of the landing designates the landing?
Okay.
I mean, okay. Wait a minute. You know, I'm going to fly up from Florida in this twin-engine Baron. So I'm going to get all this time. I'm going to get my twin. I'm going to get my wicked long cross country. I'm coming up with a flight instructor. He's going to teach me like everything. I'm going to be in that airplane with him for like, how many hours, right? From Florida to Massachusetts.
But then
you mean I will not be able to log that as cross country if he lands the sucker?
Correct. If he feels that you are a danger, then he will say my controls and he's landing, then that's it. It's over.
Wait a minute.
Oh, that's a right. Yeah, you can do the perfect approach to
actually,
the 45 to the downwind.
not entirely, because you're talking about training, which is different.
Right.
If you were under the hood and it's not a flight instructor, flight instructors are different. There could be, whole room full of flight instructors there in the back in the cabin sitting, and they all could be switching instruction and logging PIC. I always log PIC when I am in the airplane, and I provide any kind of instruction. So if I express my opinion on your flight, that's dual given, and I'm logging PIC there. But if you are just a private pilot serving as a safety pilot, then it's a different situation. So,
wow, okay.
So we could have a lot more fun. And
it's not so black and white. Could be a whole course on just that.
Well, wait a minute. It gets even weirder.
There's so many talk scenarios.
Talk about new technology, flat screen, FLIR, this, that, artificial. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you now, it is true that there are aircraft you can be wearing foggles or a hood, and you can land that airplane because you've got artificial horizon, FLIR. There are aircraft that are designated 00. And when you land in 00, you are landing in, like being in foggles. But of course, nobody would ever do that. Radek, that's not even a remotely ridiculous statement, right? Nobody in their right mind would do that.
No.
But in a simulator, you would, and you can get time in that.
Yeah,
I mean, nobody in their right mind would risk life and limb to do that in a real airplane.
Yeah. So next show, what we're going to be talking about is, when you do your 3 takeoffs and landings to be current and fly with passengers, during that practice 3 takeoffs and landings, or practice or whatever the required currency flight, can you have your golf clubs with you in the airplane?
Can you have your golf clubs? This is a trick question.
And believe you'll be surprised with the answer. But that's going to be our next show, so we're not going to be even discussing this now. And one of the reasons is actually we're out of time for this show.
Well, before we are out of time, I want to welcome everybody to Plane Talk on IMC Radio. The views and opinions expressed on Plane Talk are of the hosts, their guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views of the IMC Club or organizations associated with them.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
It's only us. So
the attorneys are happy now.
Thank you for listening, and until next time, everybody, I'm Radek Wyrzykowski signing off from undisclosed location in upstate New York.
Gross, wishing him lots of luck. John, say goodbye.
And it's John Roberts saying goodbye. Fly safe.
Bye, everybody. Sun on your face and the wind on your ass.
Thank you for listening to Plane Talk on WIMC Radio.